Hey students, welcome to week 7 of Accounting Principles. I hope and pray your week is going great. For our devotional this week, I'd like you to check out the song and testimony about Gary Miracle. I promise you will not forget this video, Gary's testimony, and the associated song by Mercy Me. God is for us, even when things don't look so good. All right, let's take a look at what's coming up this week. This week we're in chapter 6 and we're learning about the uniqueness of accounting associated with the merchandising business. Now we're defining what merchandising for accounting is all about and looking at the two different inventory systems that go with merchandising accounting. We're looking at the multi-step and the single-step income statements as well. We're studying the terms of sales related to merchandising transactions, and finally we're looking at the role of the operating cycle and evaluating the liquidity of a merchandising company. So a lot going on this week. Let's define what a merchandising company is, first of all. Now, a merchandising company earns income by buying and selling goods, which are called merchandise inventory. So a brick and mortar outlet store, maybe at a mall someplace, would be an example, like a Gap, a Nike, a grocery store even. These types of businesses manage their inventory using one of two inventory models. The first one is a perpetual inventory system, which keeps continuous records of inventory transactions. Inventory is always updated almost like instantaneously, and it's a very known quantity. You can go look at a system at any one time and know how much you have of any certain product on the shelf or on the floor. This can be an expensive system, though, to implement. Now, another inventory model that merchandisers use, and even manufacturers use these, this is much more my experience, is called the periodic inventory system. In this system, the inventory that is sitting on the shelves or sitting on the factory floor, which is unsold, is periodically counted. You know you have this type of inventory system when you have count days. The days you go out and count the physical inventory, and it's often by hand. The downside to this periodic inventory model is that it can be labor intensive to keep the inventory count, and losses are sometimes not known right away. It's not always very accurate. All right, let's switch it up and talk about the multi-step income statement. As this slide shows, the multi-step income statement shows an extra step right here, calculating the cost of goods. The extra step, which is the cost of goods, or the COGS, simply put, the COGS identifies the cost for merchandisers that they had to put in for purchasing and selling their goods or services. It's the cost of doing business. It's the cost of materials, direct labor, and freight to build the product to be sold or the services to be delivered. Now, I work in the staffing industry, and we use this multi-step income statement, so we know the categorized cost, what it is to pay for the hundreds of people that we have in the field each week. Here's an example of what a multi-step income statement would look like. You can see the breakout of the COGS, as we call them, cost of goods sold, and the calculation of what is called the gross margin on the sheet. And by comparison, here's a single-step income statement. And you can see there's still a cost of goods, but it's buried in the normal operating system. They're not separated out from operating costs. Be sure to read about this in chapter 6, since COGS is an important concept that comes up in business discussions all the time. And it might be on the quiz sometime in your future. All right. Also in chapter 6, there's a number of terms that are defined that are important that we need to define to any merchandising business. Terms like trade discounts, sales discounts, purchase discounts, FOB, free on board when you're shipping product or goods, and then net payment terms. Finally, be sure to know how the operating cycle of a business impacts cash. From this slide, you can see that cash is used to purchase inventory. You put an inventory over here, and then inventory that is sold either generates cash, or you can buy more inventory, or you can use that cash to pay off debt. You can also make purchases of inventory on credit, but you also, when you sell that inventory, you can also use it. You can put the cash you can get cash from accounts receivable, either selling inventory or pulling on your accounts receivable, that is the people who owe you money, owe you cash, you use that to run your business. So make sure you study that chart out of chapter 6. All right, that's it for now. Be sure to complete your assignments and DQs throughout the week. Make sure you're paying attention to the due dates here. And remember, God is on his throne. He's always been there, and he's always going to be. Have yourself a great week.